Okay, lovely. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. And of course, welcome back if you were on my first webinar this morning. So what we're going to be running through now, we're kind of going to fuse, again, two webinars together. We're going to be doing our cancellation fees and upfront payments. Now, upfront payments has already launched. That is payments, upfront, so to speak, so they can make the payment for a particular service before they actually arrive, when they book it online, that kind of thing. And cancellation fees is launching very, very soon. So we're very excited about that. So we've got cancellation fees coming up, which are, of course, when a client makes an appointment, we can request their card details, that if they then no-show or then cancel an appointment within a specific time frame, they will be charged. So using these two together, upfront payments and cancellation fees, are almost a concrete way to reduce no-shows, cancellations, and of course, lost revenue. So that's what we're going to be going through today. Now, the functionality of them work pretty much exactly the same. The setup is very much similar. So I thought we would do it together, put both of the webinars together. We will be moving forward. We will still split them down, though. We are still going to have cancellation fees when it does launch. We're going to have a separate webinar for that. And of course, we'll also do a separate one for upfront payments if you're not quite sure how this works. So the first thing we're going to do, just with a couple of power slides, we're just going to run through how cancellation fees work. So exactly the same as before, if you're on my webinar this morning, the duration will be approximately 45 minutes to an hour. My microphone is switched on. Everyone else has automatically been muted. Please ensure as well, please just make sure now your speakers are turned up nice and loud just so you can hear me. And questions will be taken either via the Q&A or the chat box. Okay. So cancellation fees, what are cancellation fees in shortcuts? So as we said, it's launching very, very soon, and it provides you with the opportunity to charge guests who cancel at the last minute or who simply do not show up for their appointment. So basically a no-show. Now this fully configurable feature is easy to set up and gives you the flexibility to choose exactly when and how cancellation fees are charged. So who is it for? So you can collect a guest's credit card details for any appointment that was made in person, over the phone, cloud appointment book, online booking, My Local Salon, or via the mobile guest app, simply by clicking the Send Card Request button on the appointment touch tip. Okay, and this will send an SMS or a text message and an email to the guest requesting their payment details and authorization. So how do we do it? So firstly, we're going to need to ensure we have a Stripe account set up. Now, if you don't have a Stripe account set up, you can do so at www.stripe.com. Stripe is basically just a payment provider. Okay. If you're already using upfront payments within Shortcuts, then you do not need to set up another Stripe account. Now, I know we're talking about upfront payments today, but if you're just purely watching this because you're interested in cancellation fees, not a problem. If you're already using upfront payments, you do not need to set up another Stripe account. So the first thing we need to do, and this is the same for both cancellation fees and upfront payments. Like I said, we're kind of going to fuse it all together. So the first thing we need to do, we need to connect your Stripe account to site settings. Now, site settings can be found on the online console, and the online console is just a website, which is console.shortcutssoftware.com. And then we go down to site settings, which is the third blue square down on the left-hand side. And then we're going to scroll down to payment provider and then click connect to Stripe. Okay, connect Stripe. So we can see that just there, payment provider, and then we're just going to click the blue button where it says connect Stripe. Now that is the same for both upfront payments and cancellation fees. So once you've got your Stripe account and you want to use either upfront payments or cancellation fees, or of course both, you will need to connect your Stripe account. Then for cancellation fees, you will need to configure your cancellation fees. Okay, so now we've connected our Stripe account. In the site settings, we're now going to configure a cancellation fees in Shortcuts Fusion in our main shortcut system. So on the right-hand side of our navigation bar, we will click where it says Setup. Underneath that, we will click where it says Configuration. Over on the left-hand side, you will see a tab and it will say General. Then just to the center left of the screen, you will see it says Appointment Book. Then when we go to the top center of the screen, you will see it says Cancellation Fees. And that is where we configure the cancellation fees. Now, don't worry, we're going to have a live demonstration where I'll show you that in much more detail, but that's basically just to give you a little head start there. So how do cancellation fees work in shortcuts? So when an appointment is made, under the touch tip, that's the little box that appears, and when you tap onto it or click onto it, under the touch tip, you will see a Send Card Request button. Again, we can see that just there, Send Card Request. And that will basically send a request to that client for their card details, just in case they do no-show or cancel. The client will then receive an email and SMS request, and this is what it looks like just here. And all they need to do is click this secure link to input their card details. You will notice the appointment has a half moon crescent in orange. This is an indicator to let you know the card details have been requested, but they've not yet been provided. Okay, so that basically means you sent the card request, but the client has not responded. They've not inputted their card details, and it will stay that orange color just like that. So when a client responds to the email and provides the credit card details, you will notice the appointment refers back to the normal green color. Okay, and again, if we click onto the touch tip, you will also notice the card details have been inputted. Okay, now it's fully compliant, so we've only got the last 3 numbers of the card details just there. So what happens if a client cancels? Now, this works exactly the same for cancellation fees as it does for upfront payments, okay? So the salon can choose on a case-by-case scenario whether or not to charge a cancellation fee, okay? Now, like I said, this works exactly the same for cancellation fees as it does for upfront payments. So what you would do at the end of each day, you're going to go to your Fusion appointment book, and in the bottom right-hand corner, you will see a screen where it says Menu. We can see that just there in the bottom right-hand corner. Once you've clicked onto Menu, there'll be an option where it says Cancellations, and that will show you the cancellations for that day. So we can see we've got 2 cancellations just here. So again, this works exactly the same for cancellation fees as it does for upfront payments. So you can tick the charge cancellation checkbox for the clients who you do want to charge. So we're going to penalize them, so to speak. So they have no-showed, they have cancelled. Okay. Now you can also do the transfer to the account button just here. So you can leave the charge cancellation button and click transfer to account. Okay. If you want to transfer it to their account. So maybe rather than taking the money off them, if there was an issue that was unavoidable, you can transfer it to their account to use as a deposit later on. Once you've made your decision for each individual client, what you will do is click the Process Chain Link button just here to the center bottom of the screen. And then after that, you're going to click the Yes button and then the Done button. Okay, so that works exactly the same for cancellation fees as well as upfront payments. Lovely. So we're going to get to questions in just a bit, but what we're going to do, let's have a little live demonstration. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to start with upfront payments. Now the setup is pretty much exactly the same, but we're going to start with our upfront payments. So the first thing we need to do is navigate to our online console, and that is just simply a website. So you'd open up your preferred internet browser and you would type in console.shortcutsoftware.com. Now remember, whether you're using cancellation fees or upfront payments, the first thing we need to do is link our Stripe account. And we do this by simply clicking onto Site Settings on the left-hand side of our screen. If you have multiple salons or multiple sites, you can toggle between the sites in the top right-hand corner. So maybe each individual site has individual bank details. What we're going to do is we're going to scroll all the way down, okay, until we see Payment Provider just there, okay? And on the right-hand side, if you haven't already connected a Stripe account, there will be a blue button where it says Connect Stripe, okay? That will be the first thing we need to do. Whether we're doing cancellation fees or upfront payments, we need to link our Stripe account. Okay. And we're going to click the Save button on the right-hand side. Okay, so remember, we're working with upfront payments from here on out. We're going to be working on upfront payments. So now what we need to do is set up our upfront payments. So on the right-hand side, we're going to click the Home button. And this will just simply take us right back to the beginning. So now we need to set up our upfront payments. So we've connected our Stripe account, and now we need to configure our upfront payments. So the center of the screen, you will see where it says Book Me Settings. On the right-hand side of our navigation bar, you will see it says Upfront Payment Settings just here. So we're looking for Upfront Payment Settings on the right-hand side. Now, if this is your first time going into it, you will have to just agree to some terms and conditions. Okay. And now what we can do is we can set this up. So we can set up our rules. So what we're going to need to do first and foremost is click onto Edit General Settings just here. Just double check your Stripe account is connected at the top of the screen so we can see my Stripe account is set up here. And then just double check all of the terms and conditions for me. Just make sure we've got that there. So just ensure the Stripe account is connected at the top and your terms and conditions are happy. You're happy with the terms and conditions. And then what we're going to do is simply click the OK button. Okay, so now what we need to do, we need to create our rules. Okay, so it's basically how these upfront payments will work. So when will we take the upfront payment? You can set up multiple rules as well if you wish to. And you'll notice on my test system, I've got quite a few. Okay, so all we're going to do on the right hand side is click Add New Rule. Okay, because we're going to create a new rule for these upfront payments. So on the right hand side, we're going to click Add New Rule. And we can just call the rule name. So this could be, 50% for the color. So if we want to take an upfront payment for color, it will be 50%. So I'm just going to call it 50% gents cut. So when a client makes an appointment for a gents cut, we're going to take 50% upfront from them. And then we're going to do days in advance. So we're going to apply this rule when the booking is made more than X amount of days in advance. So what that basically means, if I was to pop 3 days in there, if the appointment was made 4 days before the start time, 5 days before, 6 days before, 28 days before, the rule will apply. If it is made 1 or 2 days before the appointment, this rule will not apply. Okay, so it is days in advance. And then we have the booking deposit. So I'm going to say it's going to be 50%. So the booking fee calculated as a percentage of the total booking value. So I'm going to say it's 50% of the total booking value. And you can also have a secondary rule where it says minimum booking deposit. So maybe if it's only applicable on services that have a monetary value of £20 or more, £30 or more. So maybe if a gents cut was £10, and we don't need to take, the 50% from that. So it's only if there's a minimum booking value. Place a tick in this box here if this applies to Book Me or online bookings, and then simply click the OK button. Now, once we've done that, we need to select the employees and we need to select the relevant services. If you do not select any employees, the rule will apply to all employees. And if you do not select any services, again, it will apply to all services. So again, I'm just going to choose services. None of my services are pulling through there. Again, I'm working on a test system here, so your services will all pull through. So just keep an eye on when you do that for yourself. But yeah, all you would do is just choose your services and just configure them that way. And that is your rule created. Perfect. So how do we manage upfront payments? Okay, so remember, we're only talking about upfront payments for the time being. So what we're going to do, let's have a quick look at our appointment book. Just pop a pin in. So managing upfront payments. So I'm using a test system here. So obviously I haven't made a payment upfront just yet. But when an online booking is made, it will turn yellow. Okay, we've probably already seen this when we've got online bookings, they turn yellow. In the top right-hand corner of that appointment, it will also have a payment logo. Okay, it looks like little coins stacked on top of each other. So what we can then do, we can click on the appointment and we can access the touch tip. Now the touch tip is this box that just appears just down here. That is what we mean by the touch tip. And what it will show is it will show the upfront payment amount. And then when the client is ready to be checked out and pay, you simply right click, check out as normal, and you will see the upfront payment will be taken off. It'll be instantly taken off. So there's no room for error or anything like that. Now, I know I appreciate I'm not able to do it because I'm not able to actually input my card details for it on my test system, but the appointment will turn yellow. You will simply right click, check out as normal. And then when you go to the point of sale screen, it will automatically take that upfront payment off. It does also appear in the transaction list, in the history, and the dashboard of that client. Okay, so there's no room for error there when it comes to your upfront payment. So we don't essentially need to remember that they've paid upfront or anything like that. The payment that they've paid upfront will automatically be deducted at the point of sale screen. And that is upfront payments. So we can now move on to cancellation fees, which are, of course, requesting the client's details. Okay, so everything is exactly the same from where we started. So all we do exactly the same as before. We would just ensure, and I will just repeat it just so we've just got it. We just need to ensure in site settings of our console, our Stripe account is connected. So again, that works both the same ways for cancellation fees and upfront payments. So let's just make sure we've got that Stripe account connected. Then what we need to do, we need to go to our Shortcuts Fusion system. And we need to set up our cancellation fees. And we do this in our main shortcut system. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to click Setup on the right-hand side of our navigation. We're going to click Configuration. And in the bottom left-hand corner, we're going to click where it says General. And we're going to go up to where it says Appointment Book, which is on the center left-hand side of the screen. To the center top of the screen, we're going to click the tab where it says Cancellation Fees. Pop a tick in this box to ensure the cancellation fees are enabled. And then what we have, the minimum booking value. So again, very similar to our upfront payments. This is the minimum monetary value of the appointment. So I've basically said the minimum booking value has to be at least £1. So that basically means from there on out, all of my services will incur a cancellation fee because all of my services are at least £1 or more. So then we have our minimum notice required. So we've basically said if they cancel within a 24-hour period, they will be charged. Okay, so that is the minimum notice we have to give. Anything outside of 24 hours, they won't be charged. Okay, so it's a minimum notice period of 24 hours. And then we set up our cancellation fee. So again, we're going to say the percent of our service. Now, because we have actually inputted card details here, just to ensure lots of money isn't taken when we're testing this, we've set up the percentage of our service to be 5%. So that basically means whatever the cost of the service is, if they cancel, they will be charged 5% of that service, which of course is quite a small amount. And again, we've got the minimum monetary amount. So maybe again, if you've got services that cost £5 or £10 and you're thinking, I'm not just going to charge them, 5% of a £5 service. We've put the minimum amount in there. Now, again, I've put £1 in there just so as we're moving forward, everything is set up as we need it to be. Now, what you can also do, you can charge a secondary cancellation fee, which basically cements that the client will be charged a cancellation fee. So what does a secondary cancellation fee mean? So this means if they cancel outside of the minimum notice period, so we've said they've got to give us a minimum notice of 24 hours, okay? If they don't give us at least 24 hours notice period, they will be charged. But we've said there's a secondary cancellation fee. So if they cancel outside of the minimum notice period of 24 hours, so that could be 2 days before, 6 days before, 8 weeks before, they will be charged. Okay. And again, we can set up a percentage of service. So you might then say for this, we're going to be a little bit more lenient because they've given us 2 weeks notice. We're only going to charge them 2%. Now, of course, you may wish to do this. This isn't a recommendation, but you may wish to do something along the lines of a 50% cancellation fee within the 24-hour period. Outside of a 24-hour period, you may wish to charge them 10%, something like that. and then just ensure your terms and conditions are correct just down here. And then, of course, what we're going to do is click the Done button. You may just have to give a quick restart to your shortcut system. So how do cancellation fees work in shortcuts? So what we now have, we have the ability to request client credit card details in the touch tip. And again, the touch tip is just when we click onto it, this is our touch tip here. So let's make an appointment. And we're going to click the Done button. Just pop us in for a gents cut. Now, when we make the appointment, what we can do, we can click onto it to enable the touch tip. And then where it says credit card details on the right-hand side, you can click send card request. Okay, so this is basically saying you are requesting this particular client's card details in case they cancel. Now, this is done on a case-by-case scenario, so you'll have to work through each individual client. Okay, that is just so we've got some long-standing clients, we don't upset them or anything like that if they're, you know, really good, really reliable clients. So what we would do, we would click the send card request button. Okay. And what you'll end up with is an email that looks very similar to this one just here. Okay, so it says, "Hi Christopher, thanks for your booking with Shortcuts Retreat Birmingham. Please review our latest cancellation policy and enter your credit card details to secure your booking." And what you would do is click this secure link to continue. And they basically just fill out their card details. Very, very simple stuff to do. Now, for GDPR purposes, I can obviously demonstrate that happening. If any particular reason you do not wish to add the client's card to the profile, you just click the no card button. And you can also do that just here when you right click as well. You can also say, you know, no card is required, that kind of stuff. Perfect. So the client has updated their details and that will then appear. Okay. Now, again, the appointment will turn half orange when you send the card request details to that client. It will turn a half moon orange. And then when they respond back with their card details, it will turn back to this normal green color. Perfect. So that's upfront payments and cancellation fees. So let's have a look now. It works exactly the same if the client does no show or cancel. So it's exactly the same for upfront payments and cancellation fees, this aspect here. So when we right click and delete the client or cancel the client, we right click, go down to delete, and it says cancelling this appointment will incur a fee of £1.50. Okay, because that is 5%. That is my rule. That is my 5% cancellation fee. Okay, so then all you would do is click no reason. Okay. Then once you've deleted the appointment, obviously I'm not going to do that just in case somebody has updated their card details or something like that. Once they have cancelled the appointment, you can click on the menu button in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. And we're going to click the third option down where it says cancellations. Now, again, this works exactly the same whether you're using upfront payments and or cancellation fees. What you'll have here, you'll have a list of clients. Okay, so we've got my client that I cancelled earlier or no-showed. You can see their appointment date and the notice given, and you can see the value of their service. Now, again, this is on a case-by-case scenario. Then as we scroll to the right-hand side, you can see the fee that they are going to be charged. Now, if you wish to charge the full 100% cancellation, you can tick this box here where it says charge cancellation. If you want to be a little bit more lenient, maybe they're a particularly really good, really reliable client and they always show up, but in this case, you know, maybe their car breakdown, it was unavoidable. What we can do, and again, this works exactly the same whether it was an upfront payment or a cancellation fee, you can then transfer to account, which basically works like a deposit. So the money won't be lost, but it will only be redeemable in the salon. Okay. And you can do that just there. So you can charge cancellation or do transfer to an account. And then once you've done that, what you would do is simply click the process button. Now, what you can also do, maybe you only wanted to charge a small amount. Okay, so maybe you want to charge a little bit from their card and then transfer the rest to the account. Where it says fee, including tax, what we can do is click onto this and then change the amount. So maybe you're saying, look, there's going to be a £30 cancellation fee, but we're going to be nice on this occasion. We're only going to charge you £10, okay, as a bit of a penalty, as a bit of a fee, but we're going to transfer the other £20 to your account so you can use that later on. All you would then do is simply choose the amount here, click charge cancellation, and then what you would do is click process, okay? And what that would do is charge 50p as a cancellation. You would click process and the remaining £1 would go to their account. Now, once you've finished processing all of your cancellations, all you do is you click the done button. Perfect. So that is it. That is our cancellations and our upfront payments. So thank you ever so much for joining us this morning. If you do have any questions, please feel free to drop those across now. Just to also let everyone know just where you think of your questions if you do have any. Cancellation payments and upfront payments, they appear in the transaction list of the, the point of sale when we go into the transaction list. It will also appear on the trading summary under online payments cancellation fee. Okay, so if you do charge them. And when you cash up, when you do your end of day wizard, it will appear under card payments section of the screen. So you can see how many, cancellation fees you charge for that particular day. Just a very good question. Does the money go down to stylists for a commission point of view? Yeah, the best way to think of it is just treat it like a normal payment. It's a normal payment type. When you check the client out for an upfront payment, they will be, go through like a normal payment. If it's a cancellation fee, it doesn't go through as commission. The money goes to the business. You will have to manually adjust that yourselves, unfortunately, depending sort of what your terms and conditions are. But upfront payments, that will go through as a normal payment type. Yep, that will go through as a normal payment type if they have a service. If it's a cancellation fee, it will go to the business. Because essentially and ultimately the business lost out as well. But you can adjust your commission structure if you wish to take that into consideration. You're very welcome. Lovely. Any other questions for me this morning, ladies and gents? Lovely. Okay, so I think that's it for all of the questions this morning. Not a problem. Of course, if you do have any further questions, please feel free to drop us an email at education@shortcuts.co.uk. Now, when we launch cancellation fees very, very soon, it is coming. We will run another webinar with lots of live demonstrations, everything like that, just so everyone is totally happy. But thank you ever so much for joining me. All that's left to say is have a lovely rest of the day, and hopefully I shall speak to you all again soon. Thank you ever so much. Take care. Bye-bye.